everybody out there. Welcome in on this week's episode. What we're going to break down is our top 5 favorite prospects in the NFL draft. Okay, it's all going to tie into our poll question. We'll get into our top 5 list in a minute. We're going to get into our poll question first. And our poll question brought to you by Baggio's Bread. Go check them out and use promo code A2D and you get 10% off your order. Malik Nabers is the second best wide receiver in this draft class. Do you agree? That's really happening right now. Do you agree? YouTube, not playing for YouTube Premium over here anymore. That's off the list. So that just wanted to jump up on me when I was watching us. Watching you watch me. But is he the second best wide receiver in this draft class? You agree or disagree? Let us know right here on YouTube. You can vote for it. So vote in, comment in, let us know what you think about it. And obviously, you can start giving us your top 5 favorite prospects in this draft. So it's on the table. Chucks, start with you. Is he second best wide receiver in this draft?
Yeah, I don't know where you're gonna go with this. Again, we're kind of going to the poll question, blind with each other. But I think it's very close. And in no realm am I saying that Malik Nabers doesn't deserve to be part of the conversation. But to me, I have Rome Odunze as a wide receiver too. Now I know one of you guys, and I'll spoil it a little bit. I know you have one of your guys is Marvin Harrison Jr. My wide receiver one, I think it's clear cut. He's best wide receiver that I've seen come along in a while. So that's out of the way. But behind him, when it comes to Odunze and Neighbors battling for wide receiver two, I see Odunze and he doesn't have any weaknesses to his game. Like he does everything. Like he does everything at such a high level. And I can't like a lot of the comps out there, they compare him to like a Devontae Adams, and I think that's a fair comp in terms of play style. Like the route running, the smoothness, the ball tracking ability, the one on one, the attacking the ball at the high point, and so many things he does so well that I can't. I look at Neighbors, and even though that speed, that explosiveness is just so elite, like his game isn't as refined as a Dunze's. And I know that the school is a big factor in everything, but like when I'm looking at these two play, I just love Odunze a lot. It was close. It was hard for me not to put him as one of my guys because he's one of the guys that I do like so much. Just watching him, he's so much fun. But yeah, I have Odunze as two by like a hair over Neighbors, a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I think they're I think they're both really good, right? Dunze's a little bigger, like you said, a little bit more polished, and it really comes down to my opinion, like sort of who goes where out of those two.
Yeah, good point. Yep.
Like, I seen a Dunze, with the Packers. I mean, not the Packers, the Jets. I seen sort of rumored there. So you see sort of that, which would be a great landing spot for a young guy, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers if he stays healthy this year. But just to be different, I mean, I'll just say I agree with the poll. That Malik Nabers is the second best wide receiver. I think outside of one, it goes about, let's say, about 6 deep. Outside of one, it goes about 7 deep wide receiver wise. And I think you can sort of make the case for a couple guys to be that too. It might be a little bit more clear to you. But it's like one's such a great player. It looks like he's going to be a great player. That like outside of that, I think it's really up for grabs. Those other two guys are going to go, 2, 3 respectively, most likely in Odunze and Neighbors, however you break it out. But does somebody jump up and take Xavier Worthy like way too high because of a 40 time, right? You'll see those types of things maybe happen. So it's all about these guys' boards, what it all comes down to. But I'm right there with you. I'd go two, or I could go Dunze second. I was going to say that, but when you went, and I was like, I'll just disagree and say, look, one, he had, Michael Penix to throw him the football. Okay, so you can make a case. Now, we obviously know, the other guy had the Heisman Trophy winner, but, how better would he be if he had more of a pocket QB? I don't know. It's a good question, right? It's a
good question. Yep.
If you reverse roles there, would he be, would he look a little bit better? But I think it's all about draft boards and the way the way the NFL is. Neighbors seems like more of a home run guy than Odunze,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So you know how the NFL guys work; they want those home run guys. So
Yeah.
on that, I'll say he's the second best, but I'm more excited to get into our top five list. To be honest with you,
Yep.
on
Yep.
our favorite prospects in the NFL draft coming up. Chuck, I know yours is going to be way different than mine, so I already know we're not crossing each other up here. So
Which is a good
go ahead.
thing. Which is a good thing. Yeah, we get to
Yeah, it's a great
cover
thing.
more guys. Well, since we're talking about wide receivers, why don't you go? I know he's one of yours. You want to mention MHJ?
Yeah, I mean he's my number one favorite prospect, and maybe in like the last few years. I mean, probably in that Devontae Smith, Michael Parsons draft is where I had guys like as high as him, right? And those two guys were as high as him, where I think his impact is. And you just see it. And then the pedigree just puts you over the top, right? You'll have guys that have big college careers, and you still have uncertainty, right? Whatever kind of offense they play in or who their quarterback is or whatever the case may be, right? Everybody always has some uncertainties you can find and lift up under a rock and find some uncertainties. But with him, I don't have any. And I think the pedigree sort of just puts it over the top, right? Because his
Oh yeah.
production's been flat out elite. Where obviously he didn't make C.J. Stroud because C.J. Stroud shows how good he is. But he followed up with a great following year with a quarterback nowhere near that level, right? Like nowhere near that level, and he's able to have another really great year. So I think it's this you can make the case that he's the best player in this draft. I mean, I could and I will make the case that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player in this draft. Just like Irv said, I think Irvin said he's the last wide receiver taken number one overall. And I believe that might be true. I don't know if somebody was since him. It's been a long time.
I can't remember,
I
and
can't
at
remember
least
either.
yes, it's so like because ever since I started following football in 2000, I can't think of one. I really can't think of one. So yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
But either way, nobody's taking one number one overall. I would consider him though. So that's how high I am on him. That position doesn't go one overall. But because of his pedigree, because of the kind of player his dad was, because of how humble of a player his dad was at the wide receiver position,
Yeah.
I'm more I feel closer to saying I would take him one overall because I don't think I'm getting a baggage guy. That's the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
part of it, right? So yeah, he's my favorite prospect in this draft. And honestly, it's not even freaking close. But there's other guys on the list. So go with your number one.
Yeah, to top it off, I'm gonna go running backs because I go hard with them.
Look at your
Um,
shirt. You better.
Not just yeah, running backs matter. So if I'm going, so this class was really tough because like it's people keep saying like there's no like stud guy, there's no like clear cut round one guy. Studying this class was fun for me because going into not having that expectation, some guys really impressed me. This guy's not on my list as favorites, but I will say that the guy who I have at the top of the class is Jonathan Brooks. And I think if he didn't tear his ACL toward the end of the season, I think it'd be no question. He'd be everyone would be talking about him. Relentless he is as a top running back. But I think on film, he's absolutely the most talented guy. But right behind him, my RB2 and the top of my favorites list is Marshawn Lloyd, USC. Um, I said when during as part of the HUD post, my report card, that don't look at just the stats because like if you watch this guy, like that offensive line, and I'm sure you saw it, USC was horrible, and we talked about it with Caleb. Like the same thing applies with Marshawn Lloyd. Like
Maybe even
that,
more.
yeah, because
Maybe
it was
even
so
more
bad.
when a running back.
Yeah, with running back, because like he constantly was faced with early penetration, and when I say this guy he reminds me of DeAndre Swift in the fact that like he's explosive, he's elusive, but he also has that compact strength and power to him. I don't think he plays at this weight, but he came in at the combine at 220. So like he's got muscle on him, and you can see that he's strong. He can take contact, and the only thing that prevented him from being um tied with Jonathan Brooks for me was the fumbling. He's got to fix that. And you like I what I look at now when I grade guys, like if your film grade is one thing, but then your fumbling is bad, I have to knock you down a whole round grade. And that's what I did with Marshawn Lloyd. Like you've got to fix that. It's very possible he fixes it, but it's has to be addressed because it's really bad. So he's got to fix that. But if he does, man, he's got so much talent. So he's at the top. He's at the top of my favorites for me. For my guys. So
No, it's a great one. He's a big reason on why USC was supposed to be way better, right?
yeah,
But when you just put all your eggs in the skill position players and you put your eggs into those things and you don't build from the trenches, you see the results you get. Because
yeah,
not only did he have fumbling problems, because I'm a junkie late night throws a couple bucks throw a couple bucks on the
on
Pac-12
the pack.
type of guy, and I watch a lot of USC games, especially early on in the year when you think they're going to be really good, and there's high expectations. You got Lincoln Riley, and there's just so much that goes
yeah,
into it. But they have
yeah,
not built up their fronts one bit, and they really went with the glamour, the glitz and the glamour. And when you just go glitz and glamour, you get bit real
yeah,
fast, and that's why Caleb turned the football over a lot too. I mean,
yeah,
that's not the only reason. It's not the only
yeah,
reason, but it seemed like a lot of guys offensively there were just trying to do so much all the time. And maybe that goes into why, he fumbled a little bit more than you would like.
hmm
Maybe just looking for maybe a reason that maybe jump him back up in your heart. He's obviously your favorite prospect coming out, but
hmm
maybe that makes you a little bit more excited about him.
Yeah, yeah, and I will say this: I don't want Eagles fans to get carried away. It's just how aesthetically he looks when you watch him. He looks like Sean McCoy, and that might kind of attribute to the fumbles too, because the way he carries the ball, it's low and away, and you know how McCoy had that thing, like he carried that thing in like his palm of his hand. Like Lloyd has that tendency to carry it low and away, but you got to carry high and tight. So that coach has got to get him on that in terms of hey, carry it high and tight. But Lloyd has like that elusiveness. It's not on McCoy's level, but it's when he's running, he looks like him. Like his stature and like his body posture, it looks a lot like McCoy. But his overall skill set reminds me of Swift. So I like him a lot. But yeah, your second guy.
That guy is a little tough. I usually don't go this direction too often, but I mean, I've watched another guy I watched play a lot. I've watched play a lot, and I've grown to like really like him a ton. And he's from a school that we love, and that's Georgia, and that's Brock Bowers. I mean,
Brock
I just think he's
Bowers.
such a specimen. He has such an impact on the game, the things he can do, his size, his strength, his speed, and his ability to block. I mean, he's the total package. When we talk about like Saquon Barkley and why you pay a guy, why you pay a guy like that the kind of money you do, and blah 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 blah. It's because he's a 3 down back, and they don't grow on trees. And guys that what I call 2 down linebackers. I mean 2 down tight ends. Sorry,
Yeah,
or I call 3 down tight ends. I should say is Brock Bowers. That's what he is. That's what Dallas Goedert is. Now the problem is, and maybe it's the same with Brock Bowers. We'll see. But Dallas Goedert's hurt every year. So
yeah,
I mean, at some point, and he's 30, right? So or creeping up on 30 if he isn't 30 already, either 29 or 30. I know that. So he's creeping up in age. So this isn't a young man's. This isn't an old man's sport. It's a young man's sport.
yeah,
So when you start creeping up in age and you've been hurt every single year, is anything we talk about Joel Embiid? But when you've been hurt every single year, it's going to be Groundhog's Day again. We're going to look back next year, and we're going to, as Eagles fans, we're going to sit there and say to ourselves, like, "Wow, here he is. Dallas Goedert's hurt again. It's not a guy
yeah,
we want hurt." So I can very well just tied in the Eagles quickly. I can very well see Howie Roseman going up for a guy like Brock Bowers, who I think to me is a top 10 pick.
yeah.
I don't even
Oh, yeah, yeah,
question it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't even question it. Now, depends on the situation. To me, he's better fit if he can go to like the Jets that are ready to win. Somewhere like that's ready to win.
I brought up the
I don't
Bengals.
know. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm in rebuild mode if I take him. Is my point.
Yeah, yeah. I brought up the Bengals when we were talking about them the last week on Eagles Talk. Like Bengals would be another place where I think it's a realistic pick. Like Bengals, absolutely, you plug them in, they're ready to win now, and be a great landing spot. And it would be very interesting. Like if he falls to 22, I swear to God, Tom. Like, and if he's there, me and you are going to be screaming at the TV. I know it. I know it during this. We're going to screaming for him to pick Bowers because I agree, top 10 talent, but because of positional value and the history of the position in the first round, I could could see him falling, which is understandable. But like at 22, man, if he's there at 20, that's
Yeah,
a
like such
yeah.
a flaw. Like that's why
God,
I think
that's such a
you might
flaw.
have to go up to 15. You might have to get up somewhere around there where you got teams that are sort of ready to win that will take the chance on that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Second guy I'm gonna just touch on real quick, because I'm sure everyone knows about him. He's been on the college circuit, like well known college circuit for a long time. It's Blake Corum from Michigan. I mean, in draft with draft Twitter, and which I'm on a lot, and even with draft analysis, a lot of people question his ceiling because they don't see him as being having that elite athleticism. What I will say is in 2023, he was dealing with that injury for a long time, for most of the year. So what I did was I looked at the 2022 tape and put more of an emphasis on that. And I think he's fast enough. It's not like Travis Etienne speed. You know what I mean? It's not like that. But I mean, he's got your baseline athleticism and burst and speed that you need. But man, to me, he's got the best vision out of any running back in this class. Like he's so smart in how he goes to the line of scrimmage and processes everything. And I think that even if you don't think his ceiling is high, I think his floor is high. I think he's in terms of his running back class, he's one of the safest, if not the safest pick. If you want a guy that you know he's just gonna be good. He's gonna be a good running back. He doesn't maybe not elite, but he's gonna be a good running back for me that I can rely on to get me yards. Blake Corum's your guy. So he's just fun to watch. Like as a running back guy, like if you want a guy who just knows how to do everything right, you know what I mean? Just be there, hit the holes, do what you're supposed to do, make something happen when things were down. That's Corum. I love watching Corum because he's 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 disciplined. He's what you want in a runner. So I got him as my second guy.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one, and pro style guy too, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, yeah, I definitely have always sort of liked them as well. My third guy is I'm going to stay in the SEC. Go to my school in Alabama. And I'm going to go Terrion Arnold,
Carry on.
cornerback from Bama. That's another guy that I would love in midnight.
Is he your top corner?
Yes, he's my top corner.
Yes. Okay. Same. Me and you agree on that. Yeah. Top
Yeah,
corner. Yeah.
he it's pretty. I mean, listen, I have two other that I'll mention tonight. I have two other guys that are one's an air quote corner. I'll say that, and then another one's a real corner. But him, he's special. He's another level of good. I'm not going to put him in a Patrick Surtain category because that's unfair. That's a guy that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talked about. That's a guy on draft night I brought up gold jackets with. I try not to do that. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. But this guy's an all pro caliber type player. Maybe sooner rather than later, right? I'm
Yeah.
not Sauce Gardner good, not Patrick Surtain good, but close to that level,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
close to that level. And who knows, right place, he can get to that level. Might need 2 years. He might not jump on the scene and it's be good as those guys were right away, but he will be. He will be. He will be like close to that tier of corner. He's definitely going to be a number one in this league for a while. I can definitely
Yep.
say that.
Yep. I think if the Eagles to look at the Eagles real quick, if there is a guy that I can see them trading up for, I think it's Terrion. I think it's going to be Terrion. And I like Quinny Mitchell too, but I think Terrion as my top corner, and because he played at Alabama, and because the ceiling is that high, and I feel like his all around skill set, he fits any scheme. I think that's going to be that differentiator between him and everyone else. So I think if there's a guy that the Eagles are going to move up for at corner, I think Terrion is the guy.
And look
Um,
who they like. Look how bad their offense was last year too.
oh,
Alabama's right. So you're
yeah.
talking about defense was on the field a lot. I mean, to me, 5 interceptions and in big time programs is a lot. I mean
Yes.
that's ball hawk
Yeah.
type caliber stuff to me when you're doing
Mhm.
that in big programs. Like you're doing that in smaller programs. Okay, you might have not as good quarterback play, but you assume in the SEC, you're getting higher quarterback play, especially with Bama's schedule. Period, and they have 5 picks. I think he had 12 deflections. So I mean, he's definitely a ball hawk for sure.
Yep. And to stay on corner, my third guy, and this is gonna. People can call me biased because if people didn't know, I went to Rutgers, so I'm a Rutgers guy. But second round, day two, if we don't get a corner on day one, right? I am going to be screaming on every pick for them to get Max Melton. I love Max Melton so much. Like to me, he's my Sidney Brown this year. Like you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I really like how and the thing is he has inside out versatility. So like he's best in slot, but if you need him to play outside in certain situations, he can. I love his motor, his tenacity. He's fearless against the like we all want like corners who can tackle, right? We want our secondary guys to tackle and be fearless and be physical. That's Max Melton, and he has great linear speed. I think if you're talking about the negatives with him, it's he's a little bit undersized, so that's going to get him a little bit in trouble against bigger guys, obviously. And then he can be a little tight-hipped in terms of change of direction, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's that huge. Like I don't think it's like a serious concern. I think it's just one of the weaker parts of his game. But I love me and Max Melton. I know there are guys on Twitter that I follow that we're all over like Max Melton a lot. So in round two, if we don't get a corner in round one, I will be like praying we get Max Melton because I think he fits this team. I think he would be much like Sidney Brown. He would be an instant fan favorite if he were to come here. So
Yeah, and a local guy too, which is always,
yes, yeah, I didn't
local
want to
guys
throw that
cool.
in because I'm not one of those like guys like oh local guys I want them like to me him being a local guy is a bonus but like it was more I literally only looked at him and his game like I he to me he fits exactly what we want in a corner in a nickel
Yeah,
corner.
yeah, it's a good name. It's a good name. My fourth guy, and the only reason I put him fourth is I sort of didn't want back to back Alabama's and be too like I'm not a Bama fan. I'm just more of an SEC guy. You've always
Yeah.
you've always known that, but I don't
Yep.
want to sound like too like biased to that. I already have a Georgia Bama. I didn't want two Bama, so I'm gonna go University of Iowa. I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go a little Honey Dijon, Cooper Dijon. Now,
Yeah.
my only concern is where does he play?
Yeah.
Right? Is he going to be a corner? Is he going to be a safety? Where does he play? I don't really like Swiss Army knives at this level.
Okay.
Right? I don't like. I speak to like for instance, like in the baseball world, like you very rarely go to school to be a pitcher and then a hitter and a fielder. Right? Like there's unicorns. There's guys that will do it. Right, Division 1 level, but it's very hard to do. You either go as hey, I play field, I play the field,
Yeah.
and I hit, or I'm a pitcher. This is what I do at an elite level, right? So whatever. That going baseball translation on it. That's my only concern of him. I mean, talent wise, it's off the charts. It's absolutely off the charts. He's a special player. It's where does he play? I look him more of a safety. That's just the history of the cornerback position. Okay, he's more of a safety until proven otherwise, and maybe he can
Mhm.
go prove that. Once he gets drafted and gets into somebody's camp, and you go against NFL players, and you're shutting them down, right? Then
Yeah.
okay, that guy's a corner, right? That guy's a corner. So, but I'm very high on him. He's a first round talent. Obviously, he's going in the first round, and somebody's going to get lucky with him, and somebody
Yeah.
might argue we get a steal because he's a Swiss Army knife. I could see him drop a little bit in the first round too. Still going in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first round, but maybe not as early as maybe projected. That's all.
I think he's a realistic option or possibility for the Eagles.
Yeah,
I've said for weeks now that I don't care that he's white. Like I, you know what I mean. I look at his game and I'm like, yeah, he's a DB. Yeah, I love
I
the fact
like
that he's
joking
versatile.
about the fact that he is,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it,
it's a,
it
it's a
hasn't
good
happened,
joke.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good joke. It's I think that his best position, like you said, is safety. But here's the thing: I think if you take into account where a player makes the most impact, I don't know how many people would agree with me because it's kind of like, and in a way, it's like a hybrid. We're talking about both, but I think nickel corner is a position he will shine, not because of the change of direction, because I know that traditionally we talk about corners like slot corners, like oh you have to be quick and you have good change of direction. I think if you look at them, kind of like you said, like a safety, but you put him near the line of scrimmage, like a box safety, but then also essentially have him play that nickel corner spot. You put him in the box near the line of scrimmage, and his downfield or downhill ability and ability to play against the run and ability just in coverage in general. I think that's where you have the perfect balance of where is he best at and where can he make the best impact is put him in the slot. Now like I don't think you shoehorn him, but I think if you want to start, hey, get him put him in the slot and have him make plays. And the reason why I think that's important is look at the Chiefs, and I made this comparison. Like, who's their slot corner? I forget. that they had. It's leaving my mind. But if someone in the chat, if you want to point it out, the slot corner that they had drafted and played, he was one of their best defensive players all year, and big reason why they won the Super Bowl. A nickel corner like that, if you have an elite nickel corner, it makes such a big impact. So, that's where I think he'll end up making the most impact. I think, but I'm a DeJean fan. I agree. I
Yeah.
like him a lot too. Um,
Oh, it is
the
Gene.
was that
It is just the Gene.
I
That's
don't
how you
know
say.
100% sure. I just been saying DeJean, so
Oh,
I
I like the Jean, like the
just
mustard.
it sounds better. That
Yeah, I
sounds
mean,
better.
like a Bijan. We
Yeah,
got the Bijan last year,
Bijan.
so
Yeah,
now we're all DeJeaned up. Like that's what my head
it
went
makes sense.
immediately there. That's
Yeah,
why I
it
didn't
makes
put him
sense.
one. Because I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't put him one because I had Bijan that high. I can't. I
um.
couldn't do that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
For my fourth guy, I'll stay as like a safety guy. And this is a third round pick. I have him graded as a third rounder, so later day two. But I don't know if you've seen any of Dejon Taylor Demerson. He plays Texas Tech, but man, this guy is undersized. But Tom, if you've seen him, I don't know if you've seen him, but if you watch him, this guy is fast as fuck. Like it's crazy his range.
What's his name again?
So Taylor Demerson is his last name. So converted running back. He's 5'10", so he's on the shorter side. But bro, like this guy has range. Like you put him right now, he can only essentially play single high. You put him at I don't say you can only play deep. Single high or two high. Put him in there. But man, yo, this guy, I swear he has rockets on the back of his back. Like he flies downfield. And you want to talk about someone who like so fun to watch. He is so fun to watch. Now he's a work in progress. You have to get he doesn't he still is learning how to not get baited by like misdirection and stuff like that. So he's still learning. He's still so in that sense, like he's still a work in progress, and you gotta coach him up a bit. But that athleticism, that speed, oh my god! And he's not scared too. Like he's 5'10", but he's not afraid. And you sense a theme with me here, like Max Melton, Desjean, like guys who are not afraid to be physical. And Demerson is there. So even though he's undersized, I'm not afraid of him in run support because he has that kind of range. So I like Demerson in round three.
Yeah, you can see when you pull him up that that he looks like a running back. But
Mhm.
that speed's there for sure. And I didn't watch a lot of Texas Tech games, but there's a reason he's a third round grade because the Big 12 doesn't play a lot of defense. So
Yeah.
and he's a project. But
Yep.
the speed and the athleticism, and like you said, a former running back, like I'm watching him go get his beak wet here on a good tackle on the
Hmm.
outside. So like he's definitely not scared. So that's not a problem.
Hmm.
My fifth guy, and I'll have a sixth. It's at the end of it just for funds, because I couldn't decide between 5 and 6. But my fifth is another guy that I could see land in Eagles green, and it might not make a lot of people happy, but I could see it, and that's Tyler uh, Gutton
Yeah.
from Oklahoma. I mean, dude, 6'7", 330, 325, whatever he is. Right. He's a monster of a man, and he's a
Yeah.
former tight end. So he's super athletic.
Hmm.
You can almost like make comparisons to Lane in a way. Lane's actually like sort of said like he wants him to be his replacement, which I thought was funny. Not, just giving his Oklahoma guy love, I'm sure. I mean, Lane's still got another 2 years left. And I say this on why I wouldn't be mad about this pick is I think he needs 2 years. Doesn't mean he can't come in and start. He has 15 career starts,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I like again, I don't love projects in round one, but I sure as hell love specimens in round one that
Yeah.
you're going to give time to. Like
Yeah.
if you're willing to take the pick and say, hey, this guy I think is going to be that special, especially with Jeff Stoutland, especially behind
Yeah.
Lane Johnson, that I got my bookend right tackle for the next 8 years. Then it becomes a really good pick and a pick worthy of it, overtaking somebody that and we say this, Chucks, right, real quick, so we don't have too long, but we say this, and Lane's another guy who sort of gets banged up year to year, even though he always seems to play through all his stuff, right? It's still he's only getting older, right? And I love Wayne Johnson; he's an all-time great, but I do like to have something behind him that's getting developed. And God forbid Lane misses something, I have that. I don't
Yeah.
like drafting that all the time, but we know we're getting closer to the end than we're getting closer to the beginning with Lane Johnson. And Howie Roseman's always tried to do a great job, even in his failures in the draft, which he's had plenty of them. But he's had a lot of success too, or enough success, I should say, where he learns from his failures, and I think
Yes.
he's also a guy that doesn't just look right now. So that's why I think that could be a hot name Eagles wise.
Yeah.
And my sixth one's gonna be the same way, hot name Eagles wise. But
Yeah.
there's my five. There's my
I
top
can
five.
see it with Guyton. I can see it with Guyton. To me, I would be more comfortable if they traded back from 22 to get him, just because you get more assets and then like he's in that range. But I agree in terms of the long term ceiling and what he could be. Oh man, like it's there, but he needs time. So I agree.
Yep.
My last guy before we get to your last guy, I I think this is the best pass rusher in the whole class is Laiatu Latu. I, I mean, you talk about the yes, the twitch, the athleticism, and the refinement as a pass rusher. Like I don't know how he's not the top ranked edge rusher. Like unless if you're factoring in and you're worried about his medicals, which I understand. But I don't think the medicals are a big deal because to me, UCLA wouldn't have accepted his transfers if the medicals were a red flag. So I I look at Latu and I just wow, like he's so refined. He knows he has a bevy of counter moves. He has the explosiveness. He can bend the corner. He can get inside. He has like he's so just refined and like there are comparisons there. Like people say like they see like a guy like TJ Watt, and I'm just like I see it because just the blend, the package of that twitchiness and the speed and the the technical the fundamentals of being a pass rusher. It's there. And I think that if the Eagles decide to take him at 22, I would be doing backflips. I love Latu, and then I know that people have like they'll have like Dallas Turner, they like Jared Verse, which are good pass rushers. But to me, if you're just starting off of film, Latu to me on film has the better film.
Yeah, yeah. Listen. He looks the part, right? Definitely looks the part. My next name is the greatest name in college football coming out this year,
Yeah.
and the other part of it is I don't think there's five corners taken in the first round, so I can tie him sort of Philadelphia too in a way if I wanted to, and that's Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama.
Kool-Aid.
And what a name, Kool-Aid! Like how can he not be good? Right? How can he not be good? So just a last name before we get out of here that I like, and just threw in a sixth one just for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
can
like
see
Kool-Aid.
him linked here.
I like Kool. I think he's going to be you talk about safe picks, right? I think Kool-Aid's a safe pick. I think he's going to be a good corner at the next level. I like him. Plus, his name is awesome. His name is awesome. He played at Alabama.
Yeah,
Like he's going to be a good corner. He's going to be a good corner.
love Kool-Aid. So great stuff, Chuckster.
Great stuff, Tom. We got the draft is on Thursday. It's here.
We're
My
here, baby.
God, we're here, baby. Yeah.
And we'll be covered
Um.
on HUD with everything. All your
Yeah,
draft coverage.
I
You
was
come
gonna
right
say,
here.
do you wanna plug our draft show real quick?
Yeah, we'll be live Thursday night, like 8:15 ish, and we'll be live for the whole first round of the draft, and then we'll be back Friday night for second and third round coverage, and we'll see where Saturday takes us. But right now, we got you the first three rounds covered, and we'll see where we go from there. But
Yeah, I'm
great
excited.
start, great start, great time of the year. It's like Christmas, even though we don't got the high pick like we've had in years past, which is a good thing. So
Yeah.
we'll take 22nd and we'll sit around and wait for it, and we'll hope we get a home run.
Yep.
That's the goal. All right,
That is the
brother.
goal.
Great show.
Great show. Good stuff. All right,
Thanks
Tommy.
everybody for joining us. We appreciate you. Hit the like and subscribe on your way out. Turn your notifications on. This has been NFL Talk on A2D. We out.